In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about marriage dying in the West. But is it dying in the Philippines? Stick around. First up, we're going to take a look at the current statistics of the end of marriage in America. Let's take a listen.
Opinion contributor Joseph Chamey writes in a new op-ed, quote, "While it may not have ended, marriage in America has unquestionably declined over the recent past and is now at historic low levels for the country. Throughout the 20th century, the annual U.S. marriage rate was generally no less than 8 marriages per 1,000 people. The marriage rate also varied considerably over the years of the past century." He said, quote, "It declined to around 8 marriages per 1,000 population at the time of the Great Depression and peaked at more than 16 marriages per 1,000 at the close of World War II. Since the start of the 21st century, the U.S. marriage rate has declined from more than 8 marriages per 1,000 down to 6 marriages per 1,000 population in 2019. Chamey continued, quote, "That marriage rate is the lowest level since the U.S. government began keeping marriage records for the country in 1867. Also, 70 years ago, a large majority of U.S. households, approximately 80%, were made up of married couples."
Now, it also went from about 80% being married couples, and in 2020, the proportion of households consisting of married couples fell to 49%. I mean, more and more people are just saying, this is just too risky. What's in it for me? The only thing in it for me is a chance of me losing half my crap, half of the money that I've worked so hard for. Most guys just aren't willing to take that chance. Now, I have found that there's one or two guys that come out to the Philippines. Either one, they are still so jaded or still so damaged from some Western girl, bad marriage, what have you, that they have said, marriage, absolutely not. And then there are some guys who will, are saying, there's not the same, it is not the same playing field. We're not talking about the same dynamics, a Western woman and a Filipina, and the chances of half your stuff being gone, much less likely. And Filipinas are much more likely to sign a prenup agreement as well, which happen to be ironclad. They can't be disputed with a prenup in the Philippines. So with that, I do find a lot of Western guys are willing to marry again here in the Philippines. But if you ask the majority of us, would you ever marry a girl again in the West? Nobody takes that chance anymore. Nobody would want to take that chance anymore. Nobody would want to take that chance anymore. Certainly not me. No way. But, when Maya came along, that changed. It's not the same dynamics. It's not the same playing field. It's a completely different situation. Different type of girl altogether. So, let's take a look at a few other videos of why marriage is failing in the West. So let's take a look at an Emily and Todd podcast where they discuss another reason why marriage is on the decline. Let's take a look.
Another huge reason why marriage is on the decline is because of female empowerment and feminism. And we have to talk about that, because it's something that, like you had stated earlier, that it's about things being equal. And it's something where if you're a woman and you're successful and you're educated, it's one of those things where why would you necessarily, especially if you don't want children, why would you go down that route? Except for, I believe being, again, a partnership or relationship is something that is healthy for people if it's a good relationship. But I think that more and more women are willing to say, I really don't need a man, and believe that.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think that a big part of it is that people are coming in at equal playing fields, basically, which I think as far as feminism goes, they should see that as a good thing, right? Feminism wants that. Yeah. They want two people to come together equally. I think that where it has almost swayed too far is where women still expect a man to make more than her. Instead, if there's no pay gap, potentially she could be earning more than him.
Well, I think that's going to happen in the future.
Yeah.
and it's going to be the near future. You know, if you look at universities, they're mostly women now, and on average, people make about $1 million more in their lifetime if they have a college education versus not. And so you're seeing all these educated women who are going to be in careers and doing well for themselves. And then there's all these guys who aren't in school. And yeah, maybe they're in the trades. That's great. But I think that there's also a lot of guys that are just kind of falling through the cracks. So it's going to make it more and more difficult for a woman to find a man that's even earning the same amount as her, let alone higher.
All right, so right there, let's talk about that. Most guys want to be the provider. We need to feel like we're needed. It's in our biology. It's from our ancient past. You know, we were the ones who went out, hunted, and brought home the food and took care of everything. You know, the women stayed at home and they prepared the food and kept everything up back at the campsite, you know, and we went out and we hunted. And we still have that written in our DNA. We still want to be the provider. Guys don't want many guys might say, oh, I'm all for my girl working and I want her to make money and I want her to be successful. And that's true. You know, a lot of guys, we want to see our girls do well. We do. But we still, most of us we want to be the ones providing, taking care of the girl. We want to be the ones making more money and we want to feel needed. And girls who have a higher education, girls who make more than us, girls aren't really interested in guys who make less. They really aren't. Girls have this laundry list of things that they're looking for. You know, he's got to be 6'5". He's got to have six-pack abs. He needs to have all his hair. He needs to be making this much. He needs to own a house. He needs to drive this type of car. Guys, we don't care. We don't care. The majority of us, that's why we have no problem. Most of us guys coming out to the Philippines, a girl from the province who's poor and her family has nothing, most of us guys really don't care. In fact, we kind of like being the knight in shining armor and coming in and rescuing them. That's why I think a lot of guys start giving money so quickly, even before they've even met the girl, right? They're already sending money. They want to be the knight in shining armor, even though it's not the wisest thing to do. I think most guys who do that would admit to that it's probably not the wisest thing to be sending out money to somebody you've never even met in person. But we want to be that knight in shining armor. Anyway, let's take a listen to one more and we'll react.
Women go ahead and give children if they want. But nowadays, it's the new contract is, I don't need no man, I'm strong and independent, all this feminist propaganda BS. But the thing is that what women do is they kind of negotiate in bad faith. So they take parts of the old contract that benefit them while simultaneously getting rid of the duties that came with that contract. And guys are stupid enough to not understand this. So in other words, women expect you to be a traditional man and chivalrous at all times, while they can pick and choose when they want to be a lady. Women go ahead and give children if they want.
Very valid point. That's how we're going to end it. I do want to mention also that David's Bridal, one of the largest wedding retailers in the United States, has now filed for bankruptcy for the second time now in 5 years. Now they are saying that it is because of the pandemic. Now that makes sense for the second bankruptcy, but the one prior 5 years ago doesn't account for that. Now, my personal opinion, and they don't state it directly, but marriages are down. People just aren't wanting to get married nowadays, and people don't want to spend the type of money that they do for, in the past about, with a wedding where they don't know whether it could last or not. And like I said before, women in the U.S., 80% of the time are the ones that file for divorce. 80% of the time. So anyway, something to think about. I mean, David's Bridal, I believe they are involved in 1 out of 4 marriages in some capacity in the U.S. Well, second bankruptcy now in 5 years. So something is going on, right? All right, guys, questions, comments, let me know down below. If you like this video, check out my second channel that is dedicated to only reaction videos called Geo Reacts. And there'll be a link up above. And if you haven't checked out my webpage, check out my webpage, geointhephilippines.com, where you'll get all kinds of news articles about what's going on in the Philippines. You can sign up for a free monthly newsletter. Check out my Geo Essentials, where you can see all the things that I highly recommend that I use personally for traveling or moving out to the Philippines. And if you need a consultation, I do those too. You can book right through my website. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.